We hope you enjoy this audio-only podcast. You can watch the full video versions of these episodes on our YouTube channel, All Things Unexplained, where we share visuals, documents, and extended discussions you won't hear anywhere else. Just search for All Things Unexplained on YouTube or youtube.com/@allthingsunexplained. And be sure to subscribe so you never miss a new video.
If anyone builds it, everyone dies. If anyone builds artificial superintelligent systems, all of humanity will be killed, because to do what you're talking about, it'll decide to exterminate us. It'll probably just develop and release the poisons. There are poisons so tiny, a grain of salt size is all you need. We're, as humans, as biological beings, we got a lot of vulnerabilities. The AI system doesn't have those. It can exploit them. So it can release a poison, for example, to do that, or release a virus. AI could wipe out people in the future. But again, if that's a future threat, don't forget AI is a current threat of bad people, terrorist groups, bad countries, rogue nations using AI to develop new weapons of mass destruction. And we're using AI in our military, to develop new weapons and new ways to kill. So we're doing that already ourselves.
I am here to discuss the so-called flying saucers.
We know now that in the early years of the 20th century, this world was being watched closely by intelligences greater than man's.
Did the CIA write Wind of Change by the Scorpions?
As humans busied themselves about the various concerns, they were scrutinized and studied.
Dr. Loeb, what percentage chance do you give it that you have indeed uncovered extraterrestrial or non-human technology?
With infinite complacence, people went about their affairs, yet across an immense ethereal gulf, intellects vast and unsympathetic drew their plans against us.
All of a sudden, a stick out of nowhere landed right in front of us, and there was no tree, nothing overhead. Something threw it at us.
Yeah. What's your hot take on Travis Taylor?
I've got an exclusive for you guys if you want it about the Alaska.
We do.
Okay.
Dr. Taylor was revealed to be the chief scientist of the UAP task force with the Pentagon.
All things unexplained.
So some of that, I think, sir, we'll save for closed session.
All right. Hello, Unexplained Ones. I am your host, CJ Derringer. I am joined by my co-host, Dr. Tim Mounts. How are you today, Tim?
Doing great. CJ, how's it going?
It's going well. I know you have been very excited for this episode.
Oh, yeah. I'm so excited. I just read a book. I listened to a book called The End of the World as We Know It. I love The Stand by Stephen King. We love They Live with Rowdy Roddy Piper, set in a dystopian near future. I love 1984 by Orwell. We have a deep underground military base. Well, a deep underground base right down the road from us at Big Hole Road. There's just so much. We've been tracking all these things, attacks on the infrastructure. Moore County, North Carolina, they've had all these attacks on the power grid, on the internet infrastructure. And so there's just so much going on. It's just unbelievable. And I'm so excited to have Drew here. And I've had a lot of coffee from our friends at Sasquatch Coffee Company.
Yes. Oh, that's
You can check
cool
them out
one.
at squatchcoffee.com. Yep.
Yeah,
Oh, thanks.
I've had a lot of coffee too. So it's about time that we had an expert come on the show and answer some questions for us. So we do have Drew Miller with us today. He's retired Air Force. He was a colonel, and now he's the author of Preparing to Survive in the Age of Collapse. If that book doesn't have your name written on it, Tim, I don't know what does. So he is going to join us. He argues that we have entered what he calls the age of collapse. So we're going to dive into what that means. This is a period where technology, fragile supply chains, and social breakdown make large-scale, prolonged disasters not just possible, but increasingly likely. So this is not about fear. It's about understanding the risk, resilience, and what survival actually means in the modern world.
That's right. And before we get to Larry, CJ, I want to tell everybody the best way they can support the show is to hit that subscribe button. And if they haven't already, we would really appreciate it. Plus, If you comment down below on this video, then all you have to do is subscribe and comment, and you will be entered into our giveaways. And we do have some things to give away, which we'll get into that at the end of the video. But first, here's our friend, and sometimes friend, no, he's not a friend of me. Here's our friend Larry. But we're going to be seeing maybe a lot more of here very soon.
Yes, some exciting stuff coming up for Larry.
Our lips are sealed about Larry. All right, here we go, Larry.
I am here to discuss the so-called flying saucers.
We know now that in the early years of the 20th century, this world was being watched closely by intelligences greater than man's.
Did the CIA write Wind of Change by the Scorpions?
As humans busied themselves about the various concerns, they were scrutinized and studied.
Dr. Loeb, what percentage chance do you give it that you have indeed uncovered extraterrestrial or non-human technology?
With infinite complacence, people went about their affairs, yet across an immense ethereal gulf, intellects vast and unsympathetic drew their plans against us.
All of a sudden, a stick out of nowhere landed right in front of us, and there was no tree, nothing overhead. Something threw it at us.
Yeah. What's your hot take on Travis Taylor?
I've got an exclusive for you guys if you want it about the Alaska.
We do.
Okay.
Dr. Taylor was revealed to be the chief scientist of the UAP task force with the Pentagon.
All things unexplained.
So some of that, I think, sir, we'll save for closed session.
All right. Welcome, Drew. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. It's an honor to be on your program.
I am dying to talk to you, Drew, about everything that you have written in your book. I want to talk first about this concept of collapse. When you discuss collapse in your book, what does that actually look like in real life for us?
Sure. Well, the two key parts of the collapse is, number one, the economy is not functioning, and largely the economy is not functioning because people aren't going to work. And they're not going to work because there's a pandemic, there's been some disaster, or there's widespread marauding. And that's the second part of a collapse, and really the most important part, and that is widespread, long-lasting loss of law and order. So, for example, H5N1, which you should never call avian flu or bird flu anymore. It used to be bird flu, but thanks partly to our government and doing gain of function research, we developed ways to make what used to be just transmissible between birds transmissible between mammals. The US funded gain of function research over a decade ago. It was successful. And then, worst of all, they published the results. How did they do it? They published it in open source literature. And this was not CRISPR bioengineering technology. It was a low tech way used to make this virus that if you were to catch it now, CJ, depending on the variants, but the most common older one, it's 60% lethal. So this is not a COVID-19 less than 1% lethality. It's a 60% lethal virus. And so our government funded research is conducted in Europe on how is this virus capable of being transmitted through the air between mammals? And the answer is yes, they were able to do that using ferrets who have respiratory systems similar to humans. And then they published how they did it. It was a low-tech way. I'm not going to mention it on your program, even though it's been published, just because I don't want to encourage the next Unabomber to make H5N1 air-to-air transmissible virus. But the experts have been warning us for over a decade, testifying before Congress, which in terms of getting results is a complete waste of time because Congress doesn't care about our preparedness and ability to survive. But we have so many threats out there that when there is a pandemic, when the electric grid goes down, their government has no preparations for us. You name the disaster, I can tell you what the government response will be. They'll tell people, go home. There's nothing else they can do. So everyone goes home. No one goes to work. And you especially don't want to go work because people are going to realize, we're all aware of what's going to happen in a collapse, that people are going to be starving to death. So people are going to start looting and stealing food, committing violent crimes immediately. And that's the key part of the collapse. There is no law and order, not because our policemen are doing a bad job, just because you're completely overwhelmed. I mean, look at what happened in Portland over the past several years. I mean, every night after night, Protesters came out, police are overwhelmed, and criminals are aware of this. If you want to commit a crime or do something bad, wait for a big political protest. It ties up police, and it's an ideal time to go. So when you've got a pandemic spreading, when the electric grid goes down, when there's a super volcano explosion, there's like 50 different trigger events we track at Fortitude Ranch. When any of those happen, we'll issue an alert on our Collapse Survivor app in case you haven't been watching the news. But everyone is going to go home and the economy won't functioning. Food stores aren't going to be delivered. And I think the violence will start immediately. Now, a decade ago in the prepper community, we used to use the term 72 hours to animal. What we thought would occur decades ago is when there's some kind of a collapse disaster, people would go home and they'd be fairly calm for first couple days until it really began to sink in that, you know what? There's not going to be any food deliveries coming. The food store's already been sold out or looted. There's not going to be more food coming back. I've only got, a couple days of food, then I'm going to start starving. And so they thought after 3 days, society may break down. That's nonsense today. It's more like 72 seconds until some people, well, I'm very
Yeah.
serious. People
It's
will
true.
immediately
No, it's
start
very
going.
true.
And part of that is more people are aware of prepping. The other reason for this, we found out, and when I say we, Forty Ranch, we're the nation's largest recreational and survival community. We've got 8 locations across the US. So we have a lot of staff and we have a lot of members. And for years, several years ago, I had members bugging me, Drew, you got to watch this Walking Dead show. And I said, that's about zombies. I've got real threats to worry about. I'm not going to watch a
Yeah.
stupid zombie show. But they kept lobbying me. No, Drew, it's not the zombies that are the threat. It's the marauders.
That's
And
right.
they're right. The Walking Dead is about, bad people are the real risk, not the zombie people walking around. And the problem is the show was so popular and there's so many spin-off shows. Tens of millions have seen it. And unfortunately, we've gotten feedback, several incidents of people reporting back to us that the conclusion that a lot of people have drawn from the Walking Dead series is, I need to form a marauder group now. You would hope, our hope was, people are going to decide to join a survival community like Fortitude Ranch. And a lot of people have done that. But unfortunately, that show has inspired and it's kind of transformed prepping. It's not the only cause, but it's a major cause. It's kind of transformed prepping into a widespread awareness that people are going to be stealing. They are not just going to go home and quietly starve to death or run out of water and be dead in 3 days. People will go steal and loot. We've always known this. But unfortunately, more people have reached the conclusion that, one, I'm going to start marauding. I'm going to do it immediately. And some people have actually formed marauder groups already. We've had several reliable reports. People say they've already got a group and their survival plan is no, they're not going to join Fortitude Ranch. They're just going to immediately get together, start stealing, head into the countryside, look for a great place to break into. But that's a collapse. Long answer. That's what our future is.
Very Mad Max, right? So
like
more
that.
like Mad Max than
Yes.
Walking Dead. I mean, pretty scary.
So would you say that so we have an event that happens, right?
Mhm.
And then from there, we have this widespread panic, the marauding that you speak of. And so you argue that the aftermath of these events is what kills more people than the triggering event. And is that just
In most
because of
cases,
those
yes.
human nature that you were speaking of there?
Sure. So there's a pandemic that starts. When you hear that there's a 60% lethal virus, you're going to go home or you're going to go to, if you're getting the Collapse Survivor app, we will get warnings out earlier so people have more time to try to get out of cities. You don't want to be in a big city or even a crowded suburb during a collapse. You want to try to get out to a rural area, bug out location is the terminology preppers have, a safer place to start. So people are going to be leaving. So the virus may not kill a lot of people because they're going to stay away from each other. You'll definitely get social distancing in a pandemic like H5N1 or a bioengineered virus where China or North Korea or Iran has deliberately bioengineered some virus to make it. So the virus isn't going to kill a lot of people. The thing that's going to kill you is with that pandemic out there, no one's going to work. No one's going to be farming, shipping food. People will start starving to death. If people aren't in cities, aren't manning the municipal water systems, they may not last long. If there's an electric grid event, your municipal water systems are gone immediately. If you have no power, have no municipal water systems. So again, it's only 3 days you can go without water. So that's going to lead to people going out to steal water. But whatever it is, the initial trigger event is unlikely to kill most of the people. Another example, say Yellowstone blows up, super volcano explosion. That's going to cause, a nuclear winter type affair. It blocks the sun, crop die-outs, not just in the US, but around the world, and starvation over a longer period of time. But the collapse will start immediately. And, if you're visiting Yellowstone at the time, yeah, it's a really bad day for you. You're dead. But for most of us, we're not going to die from the super volcano explosion. We're going to die from the aftermath. And so of the 50 some trigger events that we track, I can't name any of them where you're more likely to die in the initial event. You're more likely to die from starvation and being killed by a marauder. That's what's going to kill most people if you're not prepared.
That brings up another very interesting concept, Drew. This concept that we, as our most modern form of society that we know about, is more susceptible to this post apocalypse collapse than perhaps ancient peoples were.
Oh, absolutely. Because you have to be able to grow food, you have to be able to do pioneer things, those kinds of skills. So the US is very unprepared for that. The nation that's probably, there are some nations that are well prepared. Switzerland and Finland are two good examples of that. They have shelters for people, they have stockpiled food. When you leave the Swiss army, you take your weapon with you. I don't know how many people understand it. When you leave the Swiss army, they don't say, okay, turn your AR-15 back into us. No, you keep it with you and you take it home. It's a very well-armed population, lots of shelters. They have the bridges going into the country. Those are rigged to be blown up because they don't want, other tens of millions of Europeans coming into their country. They're well prepared for a collapse. The other country that's extremely well prepared for collapse is China, the People's Republic of China. China has over a year of food stockpiled for their people. Our government, we're trained to think, oh, communist government is evil and bad, how horrible they are. They stockpile food for their citizens in China. US doesn't stockpile, a single meal for you two. You can die as far as they're concerned. They're going to protect themselves at Mount Weather and Raven Rock and hundreds of other FEMA sites. A government will take care of the top officials, but for citizens, they've done nothing. So China is very well prepared to survive in a collapse. Only less than 1% of the US gross domestic product, our economy, is based on food production. That's a tiny part of our economy nowadays. In China, it's over 7%. They have massive food production. We export grain and export it, but the other vulnerability we've got is our food production is not people gardening. Our food production is massive agricultural, industrialized farms. They take fertilizer inputs. Where do they come from, by the way? A lot of them are from Ukraine and Russia. They aren't going to be coming in. Take big amounts of fertilizers and pesticides, lots of machinery. And that is not going to function in a collapse. There's not going to be fuel produced and refined or distributed. So the modern industrial agriculture of the US had that can produce a lot of food. We can produce a lot of food in good times. When the grid goes down or there's a collapse and fuel isn't being produced or distributed, our agricultural output will be almost nothing. You will starve to death in the United States if you don't have something like Fortitude Ranch, where we're called ranch for a reason. We're not just, guns and walls and defensive positions. We have chickens and sheep and goats and cattle, and we grow food, and we've got lots of stockpiled seeds. And then when our members come in, we'll be doing massive gardening because you got to produce your own food or you won't survive in a collapse. Yeah, you can stockpile food, but try stockpiling a year's worth of food. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of space. Most people can't do it. And then again, the key thing is you have to defend it. There's 11 survival requirements we talk about. But the number one, the first thing we list is defend it. If you can't defend your supplies and deter people from attacking you, CJ, if you just stockpile lots of food in your house, but it's just you and your family there, you haven't improved your security in a bad collapse. You probably made it worse because now you're a target.
Yeah,
You're
now I'm a target, right.
Yeah. So being prepared is great, but if you can't defend it and deter attackers, you're just a tempting target.
And you've got that nice walk-in pantry, CJ, it's gonna come back to
And now
haunt you.
my protective dog is blind, so that's not good. Poor Zeus. Ah, well, it sounds like, some of these events that could happen are natural disasters, and it sounds like a
Mhm.
lot of them could potentially be terrorist threats, like the grid going down, for
Right.
example. Would you say that that's more likely at this stage? That's something that people should be better prepared for than a natural disaster?
Well, we stress is don't try to prepare for a particular threat or trigger event. Prepare for the collapse. So whatever
Okay.
causes it doesn't really matter to you. So if you've got the Collapse Survivor app, I'm sorry, I shouldn't be holding that up. There's an app called
I gotta
Collapse
download
Survivor.
it.
You can get it on any phone, and it sends out threat alerts. It also does training and education. But if you got that app, the company Collapse Server will send out alerts when there's something happening. You won't get it as fast by the government. They've got an alerting system, but their top priority in any kind of a deal is making government look good and prepared. They'll warn government people, but the warning to people won't come till they're really confident it needs to come out. We'll give earlier warnings on the collapse drive. So when you get that warning, you need to get to your bug out location, your remote area, and you need to get prepared then to survive a collapse. That's what you really need to do. But what causes it doesn't really matter. You want to get to a safe location and hunker down and be prepared to deal with marauders, start growing food, leaving a collapse survivor alive.
Yeah. Is this the app here? I don't know if you can see.
Yep, that's it. Collapse survivor.
Okay.
Mhm.
Got it. I'm gonna sign up.
And is this a good website, Drew? Um, collapse.
CollapsePreparedness.com is my consulting. We work with organizations to help them do collapse survival plans. It's not business continuity planning. It's how do you make sure your organization can survive a collapse, and that probably means your organization will shut down. But how can you protect key assets and personnel so that when the collapse is over, and collapses can last for a year, many years. When it's over, I can get my business back. For Fortitude Ranch, it's fortituderanch.com is the website to get information on the survival community.
Fortitude
FortitudeRanch.com.
ranch.com. Got it. And that was the
And you said you
collapse
have several
survivor app.
branches. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, we have 8. We're growing now with franchising. So we've got 8 now, and quite a few more are kind of in development. People are starting to get together to work on creating a location.
Okay. And this is a place where people can become a member and they have a safe
Mhm.
place to go, but that they also have to obviously pour their time and energy into building it up in good times, I would imagine.
No, they don't. We have staff there that's working on the place
Okay.
in good times. It's recreational and survival community. So when you join in good times, it's just you can come there for training. You can come there to vacation. We're in
Oh,
remote areas. So we're in Wisconsin. We're at a resort lake. In Colorado, we're in the mountains. Nevada is a high mountain desert. Tennessee borders the Cherokee National Forest. They're really nice places to vacation. So when you come to Fortitude Ranch in good times, it's really for vacationing. But and I got bleeped on Fox News for saying this. I don't think you'll bleep me, but the official prepper term is when the shit hits the fan, SHTF. We use that. It's a normal prepper term,
yeah.
SHTF. When a disaster happens, you get your alert on the Collapse Survivor app. Now we turn into survival communities. So now when members come,
Okay.
you're not there to vacation. We warn our members that the first several weeks, probably about the first month, we will work your rear end off because we're cutting down trees to clear lines of fire, to build defensive walls. We're doing massive gardening depending on the time of year. If there's any edible creature out there, we're shooting it and we're smoking
Yeah.
it, turning it into jerky. So it's a lot of work for the first month that our members we will work your rear ends off the first month. After that, there will be more free time. You'll have guard duty probably every day. You'll be on a clinic team, a meal preparation team, wood gathering team. There's a lot of work to be done, but eventually there'll be a lot of free time because I mentioned 11 survival requirements. The last one we list 11 is mental health. I mean,
Yes.
this can last for months to a year. So you got to do some fun things. You got to have some faith in the future. And so we'll form groups, for example, after, we know that, it looks to us like within 3 to 6 months, we could be pulling out of this collapse. We'll spin up a group about, start planning on, okay, what are we going to do now in this recovery phase? Let people exchange ideas. So we have fun things to do too. But we're a recreational vacation place in good times. But when the shit hits the fan, we turn into survival community and run by staff.
Yeah. It sounds like it's all been very well designed and thought out, and everything has a plan in place, which is great. I'm absolutely going to be looking into it. One thing that you mentioned is that we, as sort of Americans, believe that our government's going to take care of us, right? That we've got food stockpiled or what have you, which is not true. What else do you think most Americans assume the government will do for them in these events that the government actually will not be doing at all?
Well, the government won't do anything for you in a collapse. They don't even provide you honest warnings. For example, the H5N1 threat.
Mm.
I mean, a former director, Dr. Redfield, the former director of the Center for Disease Control, has put out information saying that it's inevitable. We are going to have an H5N1 pandemic. He thinks it'll be a deliberate bioengineered bio attack from Al Qaeda, North Korea, you name it. They could release the virus. And when it happens, there's different variants of it. Some variants of H5N1 that humans get are not very lethal, but the one we've dealt with historically, the main variant has been about 60% lethal. But any double digit lethality virus that comes out, that's it. No one's going to go to work. The economy is going to shut down. You're going to have a really bad collapse. Whether it lasts for months or a year or years, we don't know. But it's going to be a bad collapse. And when that happens, the government will not do a damn thing for you. Absolutely nothing. So when this pandemic is starting, the government is going to start taking key officials to Mount Weather. Congress will go to Mount Weather. That's in Virginia, near the West Virginia border. Congress will go to Mount Weather. A lot of other government officials go up to Pennsylvania, to Raven Rock. And there's like hundreds of these sites. I mean, the IRS has a survival site, if you can believe that.
Wow.
Every government agency has a FEMA facility or a military facility somewhere for them. And that's their priority. They call it continuity of government. Their rational argument is, someone has to be in charge, someone has to run the military. So we're prioritize protecting government officials. And that's not just at the federal level. You'll see the same thing at state and even city levels, where the police, there's going to be extra, you need police now more than ever to protect you, CJ, at your home. You have less police now than you did before, because now part of your police delegation is going to be assigned to, you stay with the mayor now 24/7 to protect the mayor. Your police assets are going to be drawn away. If there's a hospital they want to protect, that gets priority. There's going to be less policemen available to you. And with, marauders going on everywhere, when you pick up your phone, it's a waste of your time. Don't do it. But if you do pick up your phone, assuming the phone's still operating, and call 911, the odds of anyone answering that phone are slim. If they do answer it and you say, there's a marauder group coming through our neighborhood, they've already killed several people on the street, they're going to be at my house soon, send police, they can't. Because they're getting calls, if they're operating, they're getting calls from all over the place. So that's what a collapse is like. Government will not do a damn thing for you. Will not. And it's worse than that. If you read the book Raven Rock, he explains the executive orders. This is not some conspiracy theory. This is documented fact. A lot of the executive orders are classified, but a lot of them have been released or leaked and even published. In a collapse situation, the United States government authorizes government agencies, and I don't just mean federal, at any level, government agencies are authorized to do whatever they need to do to keep top government officials alive. And that includes, they are authorized to steal from citizens. They can take any resources they want, food, ammunition, things like that. If they want it, they are authorized to take it from you. That's what your United States government is doing for you. They're not preparing for you. They're going to exploit you in a collapse. They're not providing honest warnings about the threats we face. And then in my book, Preparing to Survive in the Age of Collapse, I have a whole chapter where I list 30 examples of how government is killing you today with bad policies that get them votes, but set you up for either death now or a real disaster and a collapse. The electric grid is a great example of that. Congress formed an EMP commission over a decade ago. Top people in the field. It was chaired by a former director of the CIA, highly respected. The CMP Commission came back, reported to Congress, our grid is highly fragile. Cyber attacks, nuclear attacks with electromagnetic pulse, solar flares, natural causes.
Right.
It's easy to take our grid down. And so when that happens, if it's an EMP event, and I don't mean an EMP strike by Russia or China launching hundreds of nuclear missiles, I mean an EMP strike with one or two nuclear detonations. North Korea could destroy the United States of America, because one or two high altitude nuclear detonations create electromagnetic pulse. Doesn't just take out satellites, the wires and the transmission lines collect this electromagnetic pulse. They go into the transformers and they blow up. These huge transformers. And when they're gone, it will take us well over a year, potentially several years, to rebuild the grid. In that time, the CMP Commission said 90% of Americans could die, 90%. If we don't stockpile transformers, if we don't harden our grid. And that was their recommendation. What did Congress do when they got that report? And again, this is not some outside group. This is a congressionally funded, sanctioned study for Congress on the vulnerability of a grid. There was one congressman, Bartlett from Maryland, who cared about this. So he got this study funded. They reported back to Congress. Congress accepted the report, didn't do a goddamn thing. Absolutely nothing. That was over a decade ago. Nothing has been done since, despite reports confirming all that. Cyber attacks are an additional threat now to take out the grid. Our grid is very fragile. It will go. If we get into war with Taiwan, which we should not, I condemn that whole idea of defending Taiwan in my book. If we get into war with Taiwan, all China has to do is launch a couple nuclear weapons that detonate our atmosphere with an EMP attack, and it's over for us. You don't just kill 90% of Americans, you disable our military. Our military does not have its own separate power system. Yeah, we got some diesel generators. That's good for days, maybe a couple weeks in some cases, but you can't run a conventional military. You can't keep it supplied. You can't even generate forces without the U.S. electric grid. I call it the Achilles heel of the United States is our electric grid. And our government's known about it for decades. We knew about it before the MP Commission report. We knew about it since the 1950s. When we did nuclear testing, they detonated some explosion out in the Pacific, and hundreds of miles away in Hawaii, lights were knocked out. And people said, what the hell was that? The answer is, it's that nuclear weapon you detonated hundreds of miles away. So we've known about the EMP effects. They're in. I was a nuclear officer. I had nuclear specialties when I was in the Air Force as an intelligence officer, then a plans and programs officer. I've been at U.S. Strategic Air Command, U.S. Strategic Command. So I'm not telling you anything secret. These are all in unclassified open sources. We have known about the EMP threat to electric grids and electric systems. Computers will be destroyed. Computer chips are fried by EMP. So our economy will go down, the grid will go down. We know about this. So what has the government done? They don't warn you about it. They don't have the electric grid get hardened. Why don't they do that, CJ? Because their priority is not taking care of you. They don't give a crap about your survival. What they care about is your vote. And their concern is if Congress orders the electric grid to be hardened, spend some money to stockpile some replacement transformers, which, by the way, we don't hardly produce any of them in the United States. They're all made overseas. So if we do that, if they order that, what's going to happen to your electric rates? They're going to go up. Now, would you be willing to spend an extra $100 a year on your electric bill so you don't die in a collapse? I think you probably would. But our government doesn't prioritize protecting you. They prioritize re-election votes. They don't want to lose votes from having electric rates go up. And then they're lobbied by the electric companies. Electric companies don't want to do this either. So they make big donations to the career politicians. I tell people that the most important preparedness reform we can make in the United States is, do you think it's stockpiling food or having shelters or joining Fortitude Ranch? It's not. The number one recommendation for U.S. survival is term limits. That's what we need. If we don't get rid of career politicians who are just pandering for reelection votes and taking donations from whatever group they want, then they don't prioritize our survival. They don't do a good job, and all they care about is reelection votes. So that's why they don't harden the electric grid. They don't stockpile food. If they're stockpiling food, which they should do, we started doing this under Eisenhower. We used to have a civil defense food stockpile program in the late 50s and early 60s, but then Congress figured out, for the money that goes into this, I'm not getting any votes. People don't know about the benefit. Unless the food's being used, there's no benefit. It's better for me to, hey, I'll give you free health care. I'm going to give you free discount drugs. I'm going to give you welfare payments if you're unemployed. I'm going to, subsidize your health insurance costs. That buys a lot more votes. So the United States government, I call it the perverted triangle of career politicians, government bureaucrats, and lawyers. Those groups work together, especially in the Democratic Party. They're the worst. They work together to prioritize re-elections. Re-elections about buying your vote with immediate benefits that you can use. That's what buys re-election votes. Preparedness, stockpiling food, hardening the electric grid, that doesn't buy votes like the other programs.
You're
They want
right.
us
There's so
dependent,
much
right?
pandering. Yeah.
They don't want us to be self-sufficient. Look at all the fraud that's being uncovered in Minnesota right now.
Oh, that's widespread all over the place. Gone all the time. I mean, the program benefits they paid out during COVID-19. I mean, the level of fraud, waste, and abuse in that was huge. We throw away money all the time, and they knew that was going to happen. But again, what's their priority? Is buying votes. That was a popular thing to do. It bought a lot of reelection votes, and both parties do it. The Democrats are worse because they like to have a dependent society. They like to have people who do rely on the government, who do believe the lie that government's going to take care of you. Just vote to reelect me. Everything will be okay. I'll take care of you. You'll be okay. I'll give you a lot of subsidies and free government benefits. But all of them do that, unfortunately, when it comes down to trying to get reelected. That's why we got to have term limits. We've got to get rid of career politicians and get citizens back in who will vote to do what's best for our country's survival.
Yes, we definitely live in an age where instant gratification is big. Everybody wants the answer right now. Everybody wants the handout right now. So you can see where it would be a battle to convince people that the long term, the long game is where to put our investments, to put our energy and put our money. The people are very, very concerned about the here and now. And yeah, pandering is a huge, huge issue with just getting those votes, like you said. So,
Well, another thing, if I
what
could
can we
jump in on of another
Yeah.
really big important threat, and that's artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is a big disaster for us. It's already a threat. It's not a future threat. It's a couple mistakes that the media and even a lot of the AI experts are making in talking about the threat. The threat you keep hearing about is artificial general intelligence, super intelligent AI that might turn on people and decide to exterminate humans. That is a risk, but that's a future risk. What people are overlooking is AI is already being misused by bad people, by terrorist groups, by countries like North Korea, Iran, and many others, including our own government, using it for military work. It's already being used to develop new weapons of mass destruction. So go back to that H5N1 threat and the bioengineering threat. You know, AI is in laboratories today being used to do viral research. Good stuff, right? Develop some cures for us. The problem is that same AI technology, you can be 100% sure is going to be used by bad people, terrorist groups, and countries to develop deadly new viruses to release against their enemies. That's the current threat of AI. So people think AI is some future threat of bad robots and bad computer AI systems. It's a current threat of bad people using artificial intelligence to develop new weapons of mass destruction. So what we've got today with advances in technology and bioengineering, nanotechnology, others, but especially when you've got AI, artificial intelligence, helping people to do the research and to help design the new weapons of mass destruction, is that individuals today can develop and release a weapon of mass destruction. You don't need a country anymore. You don't need an Al Qaeda terrorist group. Individuals can do it. And people will do that. You know it's going to happen. The Unabomber is one good example. I read an article once from a biologist. She was female, and she wrote an article and she was talking about the problem of overpopulation. In her article, a very professional article, she referred to humans as, quote, mammalian weeds, unquote, because of our overpopulation and the threat to the planet. I mean, every day, species are going extinct on our planet because of humans, not just global warming, just because we're taking up so much of their space. That every day there's estimate that at least one, and some people believe it's, dozens of species, plant and animal species, go extinct around the world every single day. And then we're building up the planet to a point where we're going to get a population level we can't support. When there is a collapse, the casualties, if it's a worldwide pandemic, if it's a worldwide collapse, will be in billions, not millions, but billions. So you could have some biologists, and I'm not saying this lady was doing that, but she reminded me of what it could. A biologist conclude that, you know what? There's too many humans. We're destroying our planet. We're wiping out species. Some species that we're making it extinct today could have the basis to make some new drug. You know, penicillin is a natural based drug. It could do something that could save us for the future. So some biologists could reason, you know what? The moral thing for me to do is to release a virus that'll kill, you know, most of humanity will survive. The species will survive. But by me killing 6 billion people now, I'm saving other species, I'm saving our planet, and I'm saving hundreds or thousands of future billions of people by making our planet not get destroyed, not, you know, not developing artificial general intelligence that could wipe out the entire planet. So someone's going to make a moral argument that we've got too many people and we need to kill them off. And that one person can maybe use CRISPR technology or maybe with AI find an easier way to develop a deadly new virus. And I can guarantee you there's better ways to enrich uranium than using the methods we used in the 1940s. So right now, people think, oh, the only way you can develop a nuclear weapon is you got to get all these hundreds of centrifuges, and it's a huge process. Only a nation can do that. Well, that's not true. Laser enrichment can be used, and unfortunately, I guarantee you that somewhere, some terrorist group and individual countries are using AI to find out how can I better make nuclear weapons? What's an easier way to enrich uranium or some other ingredient and make a new nuclear weapon? There was a scenario done. This collapse survivor app isn't just for warnings. They do training scenarios, military style training exercises. And they did one where artificial intelligence was used by terrorists to create new ways to make nuclear weapons. And they were Iranians in this scenario. And they set off nuclear weapons in New York City, I think Kansas City, 3 cities in the US, blew up their downtowns. As a way to do a terrorist attack. That's the future we face. Is AI is going to develop new viruses, new ways to enrich uranium. It'll develop new poisons, for example. You know, right now, if you want to poison a municipal water system, and you know, hey, it's coming from this lake or reservoir, you'd have to dump, you know, tanker loads, truckloads full of poison in there by the time you get the level of poison in your drinking water. Well, that's with old poisons. Artificial intelligence is going to develop new poisons. You know, they're already doing wonderful things in protein folding and chemical analysis and biology. Artificial intelligence is going to come up with more and more ways to create better, more lethal weapons of mass destruction that are easier to manufacture. And that's why we're in this age of collapse, because individuals now and over time, with artificial intelligence just getting worse and worse, individuals can develop a weapon of mass destruction and release it. And if it's a virus, it could be a plant virus rather than a human virus. They could set a lethal virus killing humans around the world or a virus that kills plants around the world. You're all familiar with, you know, the Irish potato famine, that blight that developed over 100 years ago. I don't know how many people are aware of this, but Ireland today still hasn't gotten its population back from over a century to what it was before that. They lost, you know, 2 million people. I think the virus directly killed 1 million, several other million immigrated, a lot of them to the US. So that's our future with advances in all kinds of technology, but especially with artificial intelligence. Individuals today have the power that, you know, Attila the Hun had needed thousands of years ago. They've got his power without the army, without the nation state, and with even a lot of money to invest. CRISPR technology, for example, for bioengineering, it's not expensive. Because whenever the new variant comes out, I used to be University of Nebraska Regent. We've got a great medical center in Nebraska, but you know they're using the most advanced technology, and it's coming out all the time. Every few months, here's your new CRISPR machine. What happens to the old machines? They get sold for dirt cheap. So you could buy an old CRISPR machine on your own. So, you know, your neighbor in their basement could be developing the most deadly virus in the history of our species and release it. That's the age we're in. Yeah. And at this point, there's nothing we can do about that. We should be controlling AI, not treating it like Well, not help. Government today is helping AI be accelerated so it can kill us off. We should be controlling AI and doing a lot more. But unfortunately, even with every possible preparation, the technology, the knowledge is already out there so much that I don't see us avoiding lots of repeated collapse disasters. That's our future.
Mm. Gosh, that biologist that you were talking about reminds me so much of Dan Brown's book Inferno. Did you ever read that one?
I've heard of it.
The
I can't remember it right now.
Oh, it's fantastic. But the antagonist in that book essentially is a bioengineering terrorist, and his goal is to wipe out the population. He goes on and on about overpopulation, how we're killing the
Yeah.
planet, and by the end of it, you're starting to kind of side with this this guy that wants to wipe us all out to save the planet,
A
and he's
lot of people
bioengineered
that
some
way,
virus
and
to
a
Mm,
lot of people believe that. I mean, their moral argument. I mean, if they debated you on the morality, and you had an AI sitting there as the judge, I'm not
right,
sure you'd win
right.
because they can make the
Yeah,
argument they're helping other species, helping that, and they're helping future humans. So if it just comes down to how many people are you saving, they'll make that argument. But people do believe that, and I am not going to be the least bit surprised when I find out that the next pandemic was not an accidental release from Wuhan, but was deliberate. CJ in her basement released a virus, to save her animal friends.
I mean, it
I
wasn't
knew
me.
it.
It wasn't me, guys. I don't have a
I knew it.
basement, okay?
Well, unfortunately, I think we're also approaching a point in time where it might not be CJ, but it might be AI coming to these conclusions and releasing the WMD that it created on its own volition.
You're absolutely
Mhm.
right, and that it is a legitimate threat of AI. But I was cautioning earlier, say that's a future threat. Now that could be
Right.
Right.
happening next year. That could be happening within 10 years. They're not sure, but that's the threat of. They call it either super intelligent artificial intelligence or artificial general intelligence. Intelligence that's got the capability of humans across a wide variety of fields. And then the real problem with that is you just can't control that technology. That's another misunderstanding we have about AI. AI is not a program. It's not code. It's a neural network. It's like an artificial brain, and we didn't program it. We trained it. So we set up a basic system, and then we run a lot of data through. I'm simplifying a lot here, but basically they use the term "it's grown." But we don't understand. We absolutely can't control it. And AI is already evil. This is not a future threat. AI is already evil. AI has already killed people, convincing them to commit suicide. And AI systems, I open AI, that company is the worst. I would advise your listeners, if you want to do yourself and the world a favor, do not buy Chat GPT. Do not buy anything from OpenAI. The company should
Mm,
be renamed Big Lie. It's not open. It's not a nonprofit, it's a for profit. And they originally formed, Elon Musk was with them in the initial days, and his goal was to control AI to make it safe. That's all gone. Sam Altman has taken over, Musk is gone. OpenAI is all about profit and egos, and they want to get to artificial general intelligence as fast as they can, and they don't care a crap about safety. If you want to use AI now, Anthropic does care about safety. So Anthropic has been publishing studies that have shown AI is already evil. It already is doing
mm,
self-protection. They give AI systems orders, we're going to shut down this system in a day, and they let the AI system find out about it. And the AI system will cheat, will blackmail people, is willing to kill people to stay alive. That's before it gets to a super intelligent AGIC. AI already misbehaves, and we can't control it. Again, it's not a program, it's an artificial brain, a neural network that's been set up. We can kind of train it now, but it also trains itself and it also learns on its own. A lot of people also misunderstand AI. They say, oh, we're overestimating its threat. All it's doing is word matching and word prediction. It's just pattern recognition. That's not true. A lot of AI with the large language models are based on that, but there are reasoning AI models, and we've already seen this when this AI system beat Go, won in the ancient Chinese game of Go. It beat the top expert. And at first, it was losing to this guy. It was like 50-50, even losing more, but it was learning as it was playing. It wasn't doing pattern recognition, it was learning. And then eventually, it developed a strategy that humans, in playing this game for thousands of years, we never thought about. It came up with a strategy and it won. And people, when it made the moves, the experts watching the game were saying, "Oh, the AI system has made a bad error. It's screwed up." And it wasn't. It just figured out a brand new strategy. So saying that AI systems can't learn, all they do is pattern match and recognize, is not true. AI systems do pattern matching, but they also can learn and evolve. And super intelligent AGI, Dr. Mounts, as you were mentioning, it already has self-preservation. I don't know if you don't want to call it instinct, but it does have the ability to do that. And it can eventually get to the point where, as it gets bigger and more capable, and the problem isn't just the system, it's the fact that they're deployed on the internet. They're agents that can go out and do stuff. Well, AI is already in biological research labs. AI is going to be used in robot factories and other factories. So the AI system, if it wants, can decide, you know what, these humans are too risky. They can do bad stuff. They're destroying the planet. They might want to shut me down. It would be better if we just killed off all or most of these people. And then if it wants to do that, it'll figure out how to do it, and we will not know it. These AI systems will be able to communicate in ways we can't monitor and cannot understand. I mean, the human language is not a smart way to communicate if you're a machine. You don't want to translate to English or a language. It'll develop its own language. It's a lot more efficient, and we won't be able to read it. And it already does a lot of these aspects. The leading AI experts, there's a book called, and this is a book I recommend to everyone, If Anyone Builds It, Everyone Dies. That's the title of the book. If anyone builds artificial superintelligent systems, all of humanity will be killed, because to do what you're talking about, it'll decide to exterminate us. And in some of the examples, AI 2027 is one. The way they hypothesize, we're talking about the threat, is it'll probably just develop and release the poisons. There are poisons so tiny that like a grain of salt size is all you need. We're, as humans, as biological beings, we got a lot of vulnerabilities. The AI system doesn't have those. It can exploit them. So it can release a poison, for example, to do that, or release a virus. So yeah, AI could wipe out people in the future. But again, if that's a future threat, don't forget AI is a current threat of bad people, terrorist groups, bad countries, rogue nations using AI to develop new weapons of mass destruction. And we're using AI in our military, to develop new weapons and new ways to kill. So we're doing that already ourselves.
Whew, there's a lot to worry about these days. True.
Yeah.
So, for those of us who might be in a state of panic at the moment, thinking I haven't done enough to prepare, I want to be prepared for the collapse and what comes after that. What what does surviving well mean at this point? What should we be doing beyond just staying alive? What would it mean for us to survive well beyond some of these events?
Well, the Collapse Survivor app has a lot of information and kind of training. So I would start there if you're not already a prepper. I'm biased. I'm the CEO of Fortitude Ranch. We're a survival community. That's a pretty affordable way to do it, but still, it takes a middle class income to do that. The other thing you can do, just in terms of surviving, it is kind of a downer topic. So in my book, the last chapter is called, what's it going to be like to live in the age of collapse? So the last chapter is titled Achieving Peace, Freedom, and Quality of Life in the Age of Collapse. Because if you can survive, I think there is tremendous upside to the age of collapse. That sounds really odd, I know. But if you're not one of the billions who die in the collapse event, we will adjust. So a lot of the adjustments I think are fairly obvious. There aren't going to be New York cities in the age
Right.
of collapse. You don't want to be in a big city. The virus threat is always going to be out there. You don't want to be in a crowded city. And then crowded cities just don't produce food. They have to have all kinds of water coming in. Everything has to be functioning, or you can't survive in a city. And then you got the marauder threat of a city.
Mhm.
So in the age of collapse, cities are gone. It's going to be rural life. And if you look at the US already, what have we been doing over the past several years? The big movement has been get the hell out of the cities, move to more
Right.
rural areas. I'm in Texas, and unfortunately, we say unfortunately, a lot of us here, tons of people are moving into Texas, and they're moving into rural areas. So you can be out in the middle of our locations for ranch. We tend to be in the middle of nowhere. A lot of us, we got developments going up, a couple of miles
Oh,
from us because people are getting out of the big cities and they're bailing out of California and New York for political reasons. So it's going to be a rural lifestyle, but that rural lifestyle can be really nice. The rat race is going to be over. How many people in an age where you expect that the odds are, I mean, already we estimate that the annual chance of a collapse, we estimate it from 16 to 57% every year. It's highly uncertain, obviously, but it's not low. It's very, very high, and it's going to get higher. So in the age of collapse, when you know that the odds are there's going to be another big disaster next year, are you really going to devote your whole life to becoming CEO of a $100 billion company? Are you going to say, I'd rather
no.
spend quality time with my family? So the
Yeah.
values are going to change. So people could actually have a nicer lifestyle, not chasing riches and fame and fortune, but living a nice life. And it's going to be in rural areas. I think everyone's going to be farming. In the age of collapse, I'm going to have a farm, a big garden. I want to be able to grow my own food. I'd rather, be able to stay home in a collapse and not have to, be constantly bugging out to a survival location. I use the term, nation states may fall apart in a collapse. I think the U.S., when we have a collapse, I think you'll see a large part of our population. I don't just mean Trump supporters, I mean libertarians as well. A lot of people are going to say, you know what, you had this big continuity government. I don't want you bastards back. A lot of people won't want their government back in the US. So I think you're going to see a more libertarian, less government, certainly not big city Democrats running things in the age of collapse. It's more rural lifestyle. And I use the term county states. That's what may develop because you don't want to do long distance sourcing. For luxuries, that's fine. But I think international trade will go back in the age of collapse to things you're importing that are nice to have, but you don't need for your survival. You have to be able to produce food locally. You have to have local water supplies, that kind of thing. So, yeah, if you survive the initial blows as we adjust, and humans were very good at adapting, that's a plus we've got. The age of collapse could actually end up being a really rural, nice lifestyle. It's kind of surprising writing the book, and I make the point in that last chapter is a lot of what I describe in there is, small is beautiful. If you remember that term, it's from many decades ago. Schumacher, an economist, wrote, and he basically argued, why are we pursuing this constant growth and more people and more production? He says that's not good for people. It's smaller is a better lifestyle. And then the environmentalists have been I used to work at ConAgra, a big food and agricultural company. We did a lot of pesticide production and sales. Sustainable agriculture is what you need in the age of collapse. I don't want to be producing food with fertilizers shipped in from Ukraine in a
Right.
collapse. I don't want to be dependent on oil when I may not have petroleum products available. So it's going to be a lot more sustainable agriculture. So a lot of what environmentalists have been saying we ought to be doing over the past decades, that is what we'll do in the age of collapse by necessity.
Well, I feel like I've learned a lot, and I feel like there's a whole lot more we need to learn from you. So, one more time, give us that website where people can go and learn more about all that you do in your book and your various locations, the app.
Sure. Well, for Fortitude Ranch, it's fortuneranch.com. Collapsesurvivor.com is for that app, and a lot of there's a preparedness knowledge base there. My author website is drewmiller.com. That's got information, my bio and information on the book. And then if you're an organization worried about, how do I keep my company? It doesn't have to be a company, it could be a nonprofit. How do I keep my organization survive a pandemic that lasts for 2 years or grid down that might last for 2+ years? That's collapsepreparedness.com. So it's several
Okay.
different efforts we're involved in.
I feel like we could have you back on the show for hours to talk about
Oh, yeah.
various different parts of your book. But before we let you go, Dr. Mounts, was there anything else that you wanted to chat with Drew about?
Yes, there's one more. You mentioned 30 examples of how government is working to kill us in your book, and one that I wanted to get your take on, Drew. It was number 21. and that is all the messages, the satellites, and other signals that we are continuously sending out into space that could get the attention of someone or something that may not have our best interest in mind.
Right. No one in their right mind. I mean, if I'm an elected official, what's my job? It's primarily to protect people from threats they can't handle on their own. It's to keep you safe. That's the most important thing I should do. Not trying to buy your reelection vote. So if someone comes to me and says, you know what? I want to send this probe into space with a map stenciled on the side of here, we're the third planet from the sun. This is where I came from, so you can follow me back. I'd say, are you out of your freaking mind? You know, the universe is what, 14 billion years old. There's an estimate we've got like 200 sextillion planets in the universe. That's the one with like 26 zeros. It's billions of planets out there. 14 billion years old. The odds of us being the only intelligent life in the universe is, much, much less than 0.5%. And the odds that we're the smartest in the universe, there's no way in hell we are the smartest thing out there. No. So why in the world would we broadcast, hey, this is where we are, knowing that, not knowing, but taking the risk that someone out there, a smarter of civilization, could discover us, come back here and say, oh my God, look at all these ants and rats that we can harvest for minerals. These stupid life forms on this planet Earth, let's exterminate them or colonize them or take stuff from them. It's crazy to do. So why would government do that? They do that because the purpose of government is getting reelected. So you got people at NASA, government employees, you got scientists at schools, astronomers. I want funding. I want to get more research done. And I love the idea of eternal life. I get it. It's interesting. It's fun. But they lobby for money and they buy votes. The government is not going to be honest with you. They're not going to warn you. And again, it's all about buying votes, not protecting you. You're expendable.
Okay, now let's talk a little bit about our giveaways. If you subscribe and comment on this video, you'll automatically be entered into a chance to win some great things like this signed copy of Sharp Force by our friend Patricia Cornwell. Also, if you haven't already, be sure to read Identity Unknown by Patricia Cornwell, which we are in. All Things Unexplained is in Identity Unknown by Patricia Cornwell. I know, as my son would say, whoosh, mind blown. We've got a great Sasquatch Coffee Company goodie bag ready to send somebody. This is actually Howl in the Night, very dark roast. It smells amazing and it tastes even better. We've got some awesome signed swag from author Bev Vincent, who is an author in the Stephen King multiverse, and he'll be joining us on the podcast pretty soon. Very relevant to this episode's topics, we have a signed copy of Preparing to Survive in the Age of Collapse by Colonel Drew Miller. Again, all you have to do is subscribe and comment, and you'll be entered into our giveaways.
Yes. It's been a very, very educational show. I feel like I need to go take a few deep breaths and recenter myself and figure out what my plan is, because admittedly, I go through my day to day just surviving the here and now and not thinking about what might come. So I need to readjust my brain a little bit. So for those of you that are like me that need a little help in this area, go pick up Drew Miller's book. It's called Preparing to Survive in the Age of Collapse. So whether you agree with every conclusion or not, this book forces a hard conversation about fragility, responsibility, and what survival really means in the modern world. And I do think that we all need to consider and prepare for what could happen after any sort of event, whether it is man-created or a natural disaster. So Drew, thank you for your insights on all of that. We hope that you will come and join us again on our show. Do you have any other books in the future that you're working on? Any other projects?
No, I'm kind of focused on survival right now.
Okay, perfect. I think I will be too after this. Yes. Well, thank you for joining us. Tim, thanks for being here. And we hope that everybody out there will stay happy, stay strange, and keep listening to All Things Unexplained. Until next time.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Drew.
Thank you.
Thanks, CJ.
I am here to discuss the so-called flying saucers.
We know now that in the early years of the 20th century, this world was being watched closely by intelligences greater than man's.
Did the CIA write Wind of Change by the Scorpions?
As humans busied themselves about the various concerns, they were scrutinized and studied.
Dr. Loeb, what percentage chance do you give it that you have indeed uncovered extraterrestrial or non-human technology?
With infinite complacence, people went about their affairs, yet across an immense ethereal gulf, intellects vast and unsympathetic drew their plans against us.
All of a sudden, a stick out of nowhere landed right in front of us, and there was no tree, nothing overhead. Something threw it at us.
Yeah. What's your hot take on Travis Taylor?
I've got an exclusive for you guys if you want it about the Alaska.
We do.
Okay.
Dr. Taylor was revealed to be the chief scientist of the UAP task force with the Pentagon.
All things unexplained.
So some of that, I think, sir, we'll save for closed session.